Audio Jungle.
And welcome to another session of Opera Property Management Training. Today we're going to learn about group business blocks. The business block feature lets you set up and maintain business blocks. This function allows all information relating to a specific piece of group business to be gathered in one place. If the property has Opera Sales and Catering installed, this is not just limited to business related and to guest rooms. During our training today, I'm going to show you how to create a business block. I'm also going to help show you how to attach rooms and rates to the business block. I will show you how to create a rooming list in the business block. And then I will also show you how to set up billing for that group business block. Let's take a look at where our business block is in the property management system. So I'm going to click on reservations. I'm going to click on the button for group blocks. When I do that, it takes you to a screen that shows you you're going into the blocks. If you have our sales and catering turned on, you would also have the choice for events and function diary. If you did not have the sales and catering turned on, you would only have the choice for business block here. So let's take a look to see if our hotel has any business blocks that have been created. So we're going to click on business block, and this takes you to the business block search screen here. This business block search screen is like most search areas in Opera. It has filters in the yellow bordered area here. These filters will allow you to search for blocks in many different ways. There are multiple filters available in this area. The filters include a search. You can search by that group block by name. You can search by start date. If you happen to know the block code, you could search by block code. If you knew the block ID, you could search by the block ID. We could search by stay date, status, and in other ways that we could search, we could click on the advanced key here, and then we could search by the company profile if there's one attached to the group block. We could search by the travel agent profile or the source profile. And once we put in the filter that we want to search by, we would just click on search and it would bring up all those group blocks that you're searching for. In our particular hotel, we have one group block that has been created. So let's take a look at what the block header looks like in a group block. So you can either double click on the group block that you want to look at, or you can click on the edit button. When you click on the edit button, it takes you to what we call the business block header. So I'm going to go ahead and show you and take you through the different fields on the group block. And once we've went through the fields, then we will create our own group block, create our own room types, our rates in the group block. We'll create a rooming list. We'll post an advanced deposit. And so that's what we'll do once we go through all the fields here. So the first field is the name field. This would be the name of your group. And just so you know, whatever name you put here, once you save the group block the first time, it will create a group profile by the same name. Okay? So you create the name. Once you save it, it will create a group profile by that same name. The second box is the start date. This would be the arrival date of the group. And to navigate through the block system, you would just hit your tab key. The next field is number of nights. This would be the number of nights the group will be in house. And then the next field would be the end date or the departure date of the group. Over on the right here where it says status here, the status, this drop-down menu determines the current status of the group block. They determine whether the group rooms allotted with deduct from house inventory or not, and whether or not reservations may be made on a block, common block status included. Okay, so the first status would be called the prospect status. Okay, and the prospect status is normally a starting status and normally a non-deducted status. This is used commonly when a group is deciding to book their business at the property, or if the sales coordinator is deciding to accept the block. Reservations are not made during the prospect status. The next status is the tentative status. Depending on the property, it can be either deduct or non-deduct, and it's all based on your configuration. Reservations are usually not made on a tentative booking. At this point, the property is waiting on the group to return to the contract. The next status is our definite status. The group has returned the contract and has committed to stay at the property. This is commonly a deducted status, and reservations can be made on a definite group. The next status after that is the actual status. Actual is the historic status that all checked-in groups will become. The next field under status is our market. The market segment of the booking will be applied to every reservation. Our next one is the source. The source of business of the booking and will be applied to every reservation. The owner field. This is commonly the sales coordinator or reservation manager who is in charge of the group booking on the property level. So if we click the owner, you could have a bunch of salespeople's names in here, and then whoever is part of that group or is in charge of that group, we could put them as the owner. The next field is the origin field. This is an optional field that can be used to define the channel where this group business block originated. Like an example might be GDS, maybe email, or website. And the next one is the type. This is a way for the property to classify the type of bookings that come to the property. This allows for the property to track if they attract more of one type of business than another. Examples would be social groups or corporate groups, or weddings, or banquets. Now we're going to take a look at the business block header tabs. The business block has several tabs which consist of different information in reference to the booking, although they will not be used at all times. The Rooms tab. The Rooms tab consists of anything rate and booking availability related to guest rooms. On the Room tab, the block code. The block code is a unique identifier used in block creation. Block code is the code that is associated with the particular group. The block code is the primary identifier to link a reservation to a group block. The next one is reservation type. This reservation type on a group block is tied to the status of the group. This helps determine if a group is pending or if reservations are ready to be made on the block. This will apply to every reservation when booked apart a group. The next button or next box would be the print rate. This checkbox allows the rate to print on guest documentation. When unchecked, the rate will be hidden from the guest. Suppressed rate checkbox. When checked, this box will suppress the rate from the user unless they have permission to view the suppressed rate. Rate code. This is an optional field which allows the user to attach one or multiple rate codes to a group block. The rates can be entered directly on the grid as well as an alternate rate code can be used or not used depending on the property. Packages. When the ellipsis next to the packages is selected, this allows the user to attach package elements to a group block. Any packages attached on the block header will populate to all the reservations made for this block. Elastic. An elastic block allows flexibility for the group to arrive early or stay later than the original group booked days. This also allows room types not currently within the block to be booked. When the block is elastic, the property is also given the ability to offer the group rate or a different rate for the dates booked outside the original group block. Our next area is the cutoff date and cutoff days. Cutoff date, the date is all unpicked rooms for release from the block and put back into general inventory. Based on the property, this could be automatically during the night audit or it can be manual. Cutoff days is a rolling cutoff, releasing the rooms one day at a time rather than all at once. So if you put 7 days here, so 7 days before June 1st, it would cut off the rooms for June 1st. If it was June 2nd, it would cut off the rooms for June 2nd. It does it one day at a time. Follow-up date. This date field may be used as follows up to the prior group's arrival. This allows the sales coordinator to pull a report to see which groups need to be contacted based on this date. Decision date. This is the date that the contract needs to be signed and returned. The owner field, we have an owner field here just like we did up here. So the owner field here, the owner is strictly for the rooms portion of the booking. So you might have one person in charge of the rooms, and you may have a different person, salesperson, in charge of the catering. Okay, the next tab we're going to go to is the Details tab. The Details tab provides additional information related to sleeping rooms. The Reservation Method field, this is the indicator how the individual reservations will be booked by the property. Rooming lists, individual call-in. Rooming list due field, this is the date the group has agreed upon to provide the rooming list is due back to the property. This field will only be active if a designated rooming list reservation method is selected. Arrival time. This is the time the group is expected to arrive to the property. This will be populated to all reservations. Departure time. This is the time the group is expected to depart from the property. This will be populated to all reservations also. The payment field. This is the payment method that applies to the posting master and will be populated to all the reservations. If making reservations using the rooming list method, it is best to set this to cash. This allows the users to not be forced to select a payment method upon editing an individual reservation. Commission field over here on the right. This is an indicator of what percentage of the business block is eligible for sales commission. This does not calculate commissions, but is simply a reference field. So we could type in 10%, just so we can reference, just so we know what we're going to pay this particular group block, the salesperson. Now we're going to go to the More tab field. We're going to click on More tab. The More tab is commonly blank. It allows the property to add custom fields that are not already available with Opera. Now we're going to move to the Cancel tab. The Cancellation tab is used as reference only to show if a business block was lost or canceled, and displays the reason. The next item that we're going to talk about is the grid, or as we commonly call it as the room grid. This is where we will put the room types there and the rates on the room grid. So once a business block has been created, it is time to allot the sleeping rooms. To access the grid screen, select Grid on the business block header. Click Grid, and then it will take us to the grid screen. This is the grid for our group block from 6.1 to 6.3. Okay, so using the yellow search area, the user can apply the following filters to search on this screen. So notice we can search by the original. This shows the original block created. The current shows the number of rooms allocated for this group. We've got currently, we have 10 rooms available each day for this group. And originally we started out with 10. The next checkbox is available, reflects how many rooms are still available to be booked. We have 10 rooms. We check available, shows how many available rooms we have. We also have a pickup checkbox. The pickup is the number of rooms that have been confirmed reservations in the group. The contract box. This is the number of rooms the group agreed to on the original contract. And then the last one is rates. This allows the user to see the grid with the room rates per person. So if you notice there's a little plus sign beside the rates, we can double click on it and it would show you the rates for the one person, it's $250, two persons, $250 for each room type, and then for the DK1, we have a rate of $275. Okay, grid options. On the left column of the grid, the dates of the group will be displayed. So we have the dates here. On the left side of the grid, next to the words date and rate, there will be little red plus signs. When selected, it will expand the grid to show the per person rate and occupancy if applicable view. The plus sign next to the word date will expand out for the entire grid. If you notice, I clicked on the date plus sign. Click on again and it will roll it back up. Click on the plus sign beside rates. We'll unroll. Okay. At the top of the grid, the room types are listed. Okay, now we're going to look at the room grid options down here at the bottom. The range button. If I click on range, this allows the user to load multiple day rooms and rates at the same time. So we could choose if we wanted to add an SK1B. Let's say we wanted to add 2 rooms. And let's say the rate is going to be $280. $280 for 2 persons. Once we click OK, it's going to add these rooms, 2 rooms, at that rate to the grid. Okay? That's how you add it from the range. The wash button down here at the bottom. This is a term used for decreasing the group block due to poor pickup. To wash a group, have the cursor in the original grid and click on the wash button. Choose whether you want to wash the group by value or by percentage. Once you have entered a value, choose the room type you would like to wash and click Apply. So if I wanted to get rid of 2 of my SK1Bs, I can do 2. I could have done a percentage of 100%. Notice my dates. This will do it for 2 nights. If I only wanted to do it for 1 night, I could change the dates. And then once I click OK, then it releases those rooms. And now I don't have any rooms for that room type. Okay. Priorities. Priorities can be used to indicate which room type should appear in which order on the grid. Using priorities makes it easier to see only the room types that are being used by the group. So if I was booking the K1s, the K2s, so I would want the K1 in position 1, my K2s in position 2, my DK1 in position 3, and my SK1B in position 4. Once I click OK, it's going to move all those room types that are part of the group block all together here, so you can see them a little easier on the screen. Okay, down at the bottom, the Res button. The Res button will show the individual reservations if any are booked. And at this time, we do not have any reservations booked with this group block. Details. This shows house and room type availability, plus additional information about the group. Originally we blocked, what we currently had blocked, the room rates, what our cutoff date is. Okay. And the next button is the close button, which will save and close the screen. And it will take you back to the business block header. Okay, so let's go over the business block options. So we have the options button here. So we're going to click on options. And with options, our first box is the add the PM, which is a posting master. Add PM allows the user to add additional posting masters to the group. This additional PM can be used for the organization of group charges. So if we wanted to add, let's say you're about to create an additional PM reservation. Do you want to continue? If you wanted to second posting master for this group block, you could say yes. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to close out of options, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to go to the reservation buttons for the moment, and I'm going to show you that there's one already created for this particular group block. The room type is the posting master. The name is the name of the group block, and you have a confirmation number. Okay. So if we go back and we go back to our options button, the next button is attachment. Attachment allows you to save a file attachment, which can be 2 megabytes or less, to a group block. So if the leader of the group sent you a bunch of requests on a Word document, you could download this Word document and attach it to the group block, and then it would be attached to your group block for you to access at any time. And once you attach the attachment, there would be a red lamp down here at the bottom that shows attachment. Back to our options button, we're going to go to changes. Changes is very similar to the changes in reservations, the changes in profiles. Changes records all changes made to a block and stores all the change history in the system for the life of the group block. Always remember, if you want to see more under the description, you just double click and it allows you to see more information. Also, you have a report button over on the right. So if you wanted to print out this report, you could click on the report button and click print. Okay. The next button is the copy button. The business block copy feature may be used to copy the business block and is attached to rooms and catering. The business block you are copying from serves as a template for the new one you create. Once the business block has been copied, you may edit it as necessary. So if you wanted to copy this particular business block, let's say this same group is coming in 2 or 3 months, and you would like the same setup, you could change the start date, create code for the new group block, and then it would create you another block. And you could just do this dates, you could add room types, you could add rates to it. So it's kind of like the add-on feature a little bit in the reservations screen. Okay, so that's the copy button. The next button is your cutoff. Cutoff is used to manually cut off all non-picked up rooms in this block on or before the date for the booking, the date at which the booking room block will be released back into general inventory if not finalized. So if I click cutoff here, and if I click yes, it would release all 20 rooms back into the general inventory of our hotel. But for this group block, I'm not going to cut it off right now. So I'm going to click no. The next button is the delete button. Delete is used to delete the booking if it was created in error. Most bookings will be turned to lost or canceled if they are not happening, usually never deleted. We usually don't use the delete button much, so be careful. All right, the next button is your deposit and cancellation. This screen allows the user to take an advance deposit on a reservation as well as view the cancellation policy. So if we wanted to take a deposit for this particular group, we could click on deposit. And if you notice, there already has been a deposit posted to this posting master. There was a check for $5,000. If we wanted to post another deposit, let's say they sent another one, we could click on payment, put in our Opera password, and it will ask you to open your cashier if this is the first time you've opened your cashier today. And let's say they sent you another check. Let's say they sent you a check for $2,500 this time. In the reference field, I'm going to put the check number. And then I'm going to put as deposit received. I'm going to click on OK. Asked if you want to change the payment method attached to the reservation. I'm going to say no. And now we have posted a second advance deposit for $2,500. I could print a receipt by clicking on receipt, and then I will close. The next button is item inventory. Properties may loan items out for guests, such as a rollaway bed and a crib, or items for events, such as AV, or furniture, or linen, and they want to keep track of what is available. The item inventory screen allows the user to book an item and take it out of the availability property inventory. So if we go new and we choose the item that we want to attach here, let's say maybe we're going to put a humidifier in everybody's room. And choose humidifier, click on OK, and it would create the item inventory. And if you want to delete it off, you just click delete and click OK. Takes you back to the options screen and the block header. The next button under options is our notes. Attach notes pertaining to a specific block. Notes are identified by types such as agreement notes, reservation notes, and property notes. If you notice on this particular reservation, we already have accommodation notes. Title is billing notes, and it tells us to send room and tax to the master, and the master is going to be paid by a credit card. If we wanted to add a second note, we could click new, choose the note type. We're going to choose accommodation notes. Group has 2 suites for the leaders. Okay. We're going to click on OK. And now we have 2 accommodation notes attached to the group block. The next button under options is the refresh rate button. Refresh rate needs to be done only if the booking changes a rate code. This will refresh the room grid to show the new rates instead of the old rates. So we could refresh the rates, and it would refresh the rates if we had changed them. The next button is the shift date option. The business block shift date feature may be used to move a business block from one arrival date to another arrival date or to a new arrival date. If there are any reservations or posting masters attached to the business block, you will not be able to shift the dates for the booking. You also are not able to use this function when the business block's arrival date is prior to the current business date for the property. So remember, if you wanted to shift the business block date, you have to make sure that there's no posting master attached or no individual reservations attached to the business block. Okay, so if you click on shift date, you would put the new starting date in here if I did not have a posting master, and then it would move it to the new dates. Okay, the next one is the statistics button. It's a little hard to say that, isn't it? When selected, the business block summary displays consolidated information of the entire business block. It also allows you to access additional reports related to the group business block. Okay. It just has rooms sold, projected revenue, total revenue, average daily rate, pickup information, block information, daily information for this particular group block, which is a report. Okay. All right, so that's statistics. And the next one is our traces. Remember traces from reservation training if you took it? There are traces are communication about the group block. These are usually actionable items that will involve completion of a task. Once the trace is completed, it can be marked as resolved. So this is more for the group block traces. So items that you want to have done on a certain day. So you could put the date here. Let's say we want on 6/05/17, or let's say 6/02/17. We would like to have deliver flowers to group meeting room. Click OK, and we close, and we close. And if we print out our trace report on that day for our group traces, that trace will show up on the trace report. Okay, so now since we went over the group options and our group block is on definite status, now we can take reservations against this group block. So when a group contact sends a list of group attendees, there's a much easier way to enter them in our group rooming list than using individual reservations like we've done before. So on the group block, there is a place where we can do what's called a group rooming list. Okay, so let's say the group leader sends you a rooming list, or of all the people that are going to attend the conference, and they send them to you, and so you can go to our group rooming list to input them. How do I get there? All right, so if you want to get to the group rooming list, you're going to click on the button for reservations. Okay, if you notice on this screen, it shows any current or future reservations that are attached to this group block. And right now, we only have one reservation for our property manager or our PM room type for our posting master. If you notice down below, we have how many rooms we have available by room type. If you notice, we have 0 for the SK1B because we released those rooms. Notice there's a drop down in the left-hand corner here. If you want to see the current available rooms, there. If you want to see the rates, And there's the rates for our room types. Okay, so if you wanted to go to the group rooming list, we're going to click on Group Options. And once we click on Group Options, we're going to click on the Rooming List button. And once we've clicked on the rooming list will appear. It is possible to create a new rooming list from this screen or to view the existing reservations for this group by using the yellow bordered search field. Okay, but we don't have any attached right now. If this rooming list should be created by checking for existing profiles, then the Check Guest Profile box should be checked. So if every time that you put in a last name, first name, you want Opera to go out and check your database to see if that guest has ever stayed here before, you would want to check the Search Guest Profile checkbox. And then it would check in the database. But I'm going to leave it unchecked for this training. Okay, so I'm going to enter a couple names in our rooming list so you can see how it works. So I will put in a couple names. So where it says last name here, where it has the name of the actual group block, we're going to type in the first last name. I'm going to put a title. Arrival date, departure date. So if they were checking out early, we could put 6/2 here. Now I'm using my tab key. And if you notice, it brings in the first room type in the order that we have it set up. If you want to see what room types you have available in the rooming list and on this group block, we can click on the drop down and it's going to take us back to the grid. So we have a king, we've got a queen, we've got a DK1. So if I wanted to book this person in the Q2, I would choose the Q2 and click on select and it would change my room type. Using my tab key, number of adults, number of children, we could pre-block them in a room number ahead of time if we wanted to. We could attach a rate code. We could put comments in for this particular guest. Hitting our tab key, we could put in special request. We could attach a package to this reservation. There's the payment code, so if they were giving us a credit card number, we could put the credit card there, and then the credit card number, expiration date. Is the guest a VIP? I'm going to put them as a VIP 3. What language is their priority language here? We could leave it blank. Nationality, date of birth, passport, and then it takes us back to the beginning. Once you're ready to move on to the second reservation, I'm going to hit my down arrow key and it will take me to the second line. Put in the last name, first name, and this time I'm going to put this person in a king. And let's say I have no other, nothing else I want to add to this reservation. So I don't have to keep tabbing over. I use my down arrow and it takes me to the next line. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add one more here. And let's say we want to put them in a Q2. I just type in the room type this time. And once I've done my 3 reservations, I'm going to click on Save. Once I click on Save, it's going to create a reservation and give me a confirmation number for all 3 of the reservations here. So I've attached 3 reservations through the rooming list. And there's the confirmation numbers. Okay? Okay, so let's say now that the 2 reservations in the Q2 will be sharing. So on this group rooming list screen, we could share those 2 reservations. So we would mark the one that's going to be the primary reservation. We'll use Rasmussen here. Okay, And then we will click on share. Okay. And we have shared the 2 reservations here. Takes us to the share screen here. If we want John Rasmussen to have the full rate, we could highlight it and click on entire. Or if we wanted to split the rate, we could split. But I'm going to leave it on entire. And remember, we went over this share screen when we did reservations 2 training. So I'm just going to click on OK. And now the 2 reservations are sharing. They have an asterisk beside each one. And it tells you who they're sharing with down at the bottom here. Also shows you the rate here. If I highlight on John, he has the rate of 0. Or Hickman has the rate of 0. And John has the full rate. Okay, now I'm going to go over the rooming list options over here on the right, the buttons here. The first one I want to go over is the quick split. You notice it is grayed out right now because we're on the screen that shows all the reservations. So if we wanted to make reservations, and this option allows the user to quickly book reservations for a group with where all the block rooms on the current grid. So if we wanted to book all the rooms that are left and we didn't have names for them, the profiles that will be attached to split the reservation will be copies of the group profile used to create the posting master. It's possible to split all remaining allotted rooms and assign them to a confirmation number or select a smaller number for split. So we could click on new here. And then we're going to click on split, quick split. How many? We've got 8 rooms left, and it wants to know what the default name is going to be. And our name is the Opera Training, is the group name, and that's what we're going to put as the default name. Okay, we don't have a profile, so we'll create a new profile. Opera Training. I'm going to click on OK. And then for the remaining 8 rooms that we have, we're going to click on Split. Okay, and what it's going to do is it's going to create us reservations. Here's all our reservations of the remaining 8 rooms. Got Kings, Q2s, and DK1s. Confirmation numbers. If we choose all down here at the bottom, it shows all our guests in our group here. Notice we have the 3 reservations up the top with the name. 1 is sharing, 2 of the reservations are sharing, and then the rest we use the quick split. The next option button on this screen we're going to go over is Trace, the Trace button. Traces will apply to every reservation on the rooming list. We can apply. This is useful if the entire group will receive an amenity or some other information needs to be communicated about every guest in the group. So I can click on Trace. Here's my trace screen. We can click New. Let's say we want an amenity delivered to everybody in their rooms once they arrive or before they arrive. So we're going to send it to food and beverage. We're going to say, please deliver amenity to guest room. Or we could have used our quick text that we learned in our reservation training. I'm going to click on OK. It's going to go to Paula Long. And we can close. Okay. If we wanted to put more traces on, we can mark. Okay. All right. The next one is messages. Messages will place a message for a single group guest or for all groups in the guest group. If a meeting time has changed, this is the fastest way to update all members of the group. Remember, though, that with text messages for a group, all guests will call PBX to receive the message, so a lot of telephone activity will be generated. So I'm here. I can click on Messages, and I could send a message to this guest. You could use the quick text if you wanted to. Let's say they have a package at the front desk. The next button is Profile. So whatever reservation we're highlighted on, this will access the guest profile of that reservation. So if we wanted to go to the profile for Mr. Rasmussen, highlight the name, click on Profile, and it would take you to his profile. Okay. The next button is Reservation. This will access the reservation information of the highlighted guest. So we're on John Rasmussen. We could click on Res for reservation, and it would take you to his reservation here. Okay, we'll close back out. And the next button is Grids. This will allow access to the room grid screen for update or viewing. So it takes you into our group room grid. And the next one is Block. This will open the business block screen for update or viewing. Takes us back to our business block header. We also have a Print button. Print will open and print a rooming list report for this group. So if we wanted to print a rooming list of everybody that's in our group, we could click Print, and it would print out a rooming list. Now, if you notice down below here, you can choose what you want displayed on that rooming list. Do I want to print the rate? Do I want notes? Do I want the rate code on there? And then I could print or preview. Okay. And the last thing is the Save button down here at the bottom. It will save the information entered so far. If the rooming list is long, it's a good idea to save after every few reservations entered, as the reservations are not saved until a confirmation number is assigned. So we want to make sure to save every so often when we're creating the rooming list. Okay? All right. And the last button is the Close button, and this will return us to the main group reservation screen. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Takes us here. We close out one more time. Now it shows all our reservations in this particular group block. Now let's say you want to edit a group reservation from the group block here. When a single group reservation needs to be edited or updated, it can be located through the Update Reservations search screen as any other reservation. If several reservations on the same group need to be updated, it can be easier to work with them through the Group module. You may also create individual group reservations from the block. So if we wanted to edit a reservation, we could do it here by going to Paula Long. We can click on Edit here, and it would take us to the group reservation, or the individual reservation, excuse me. Okay. We can close. If we wanted to search for this reservation, if we weren't in the group block, we could go to Reservations, and we could go to Update Reservation, type in the last name, click on Search, and it would bring up the Paula Long's reservation. If we wanted to bring up everybody in the group, we could go to the group profile and type in Opera for Opera Training Group, and it would bring up everybody in that training, in that group block that is attending the training. Okay, so now let's say that we want to add a comment to everybody in the group. And if you do it through the group block, you can add the comment to one of the reservations, and then it will allow you to add that comment to every reservation in the group block all at one time. So if I go back to blocks and I go back to business blocks, it takes me to the business block search screen. If we did not know our group block, or if it did not show up on the screen here, we could search for it up in the search field here. But my group block is right here. So I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to click on edit. It's going to take me into the business block header. Okay. So now if I wanted to add a comment, I'm going to go back to the reservation button. Shows me all my reservations here. So I'm going to add a comment to one of my reservations that is not the posting master. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to click on edit. I'm going to go and add a comment. So I'm going to go to comments. We're going to do a reservation comment. Guest gets amenity at check-in. Click on OK. We're going to close. Once we close out of here, it's going to ask us to save the changes. Once we do that, it brings up this box here. It allows you to apply these changes to this guest only, all guests in the group. We could have selected certain guests first, and we could have added that comment to certain guests. Only guests with the same arrival date, all checked-in guests, and guests in-house between this date and this date. I'm going to choose all guests in the group, and I'm going to click on OK. So now it went through and it put a comment on all my reservations. So let's double check it. So we're going to highlight one of the reservations. I'm going to click on edit. And if you notice, we have a comment. And that comment is guest gets amenity at check-in. So it applied that comment to everybody in the group. Okay. Okay, now let's say that we want to make an individual reservation, not through the rooming list, but just through the new reservation button area. I want to show you how you can do that. So let's say we want to make a reservation. Somebody's calling in and they want to have one of the rooms in the Opera training environment group. Okay. So I want to make a reservation against the group block. So I'm going to go to reservations. I'm going to go to new reservations. Now we know the group is coming in on June 1st, so I'm going to do for 2 nights. And I want to find a room in that group block. So if you notice on the rate query screen here, where the yellow border is, I can click on the drop down. There is my group block that I am going to book this reservation against. If you notice down below, it shows how many rooms I have available. If I want to know the 1-person rate or the 2-person rate, I can click on it. Tells me that the king is $250 a night. You also can see the notes from the group block, so I can do a single click on it, and I can see room and taxes to the master. Okay, so it shows me the information about that group block. So I want to go ahead and book a K1. Those are rooms that are available. So I'm going to select on the K1. Takes me to the reservation screen. If you notice, it already populates everything from the group block here. So I'm going to put the name, last name, first name. It creates a profile for it. Notice I have the travel agent profile attached, the group profile attached. There's no rate code, because for this particular group there was no rate code. We just added the rates. So it's $250 a night. Notice the block code is attached to the reservation. We're going to put in the payment of cash. Notice it has the comment in there. I'm going to click on OK. Gives me a confirmation number. Now I have booked a reservation against that group block, and now I could send the confirmation letter out if I wanted to. Okay, so that's how you can book a reservation against the group block. Okay, so now let's go back to our group block. So to get to our group block, we're going to go to reservation, we're going to go to blocks, and I'm going to go to business blocks. To open up my business block header, I can double click on my group. Takes me to the business block header. Now let's go over the group options. So I'm going to click on reservation. And notice here we have a button for group options. If I go into group options, our first choice is rooming lists, which we previously reviewed. The next button is the check-in group. On the arrival day of the group, if the rooms are pre-blocked, it's possible to check in the entire group from this button here. There are options to check the guest into only inspected and clean rooms, or to pre-check them into rooms disregarding the housekeeping status. This screen also gives the user the option to cut keys and print registration cards. Okay? If you notice, we have a print registration. You can't read the whole thing. It's print registration cards. And you can also cut keys here. So when we do our front desk training class, we're going to check this group in by using the check-in group button. Okay? So we will do that at that time. If you notice, we also have a room assign. In this option, it is possible to pre-block some or all the rooms in a group using a specific room feature, floors, or even room types. If all fields are left blank, the system will assign rooms in numeric order from the lowest number to the highest. If there are not enough available rooms to assign to the group, the unassigned reservations will be indicated and a number of unassigned rooms will be displayed. Okay? So if we had a group of 100 people in our group, we could have Opera go in and automatically assign them rooms. So if I just choose assign, and let's say we want to assign inspected, clean, and dirty rooms, and then I'm going to click on start. So now it has assigned all my rooms. If you notice down in the left-hand corner, I have 13 assigned and 0 unassigned. I click close. I close out of the group options, and all my rooms have been assigned for this particular group. Notice the posting master has a room number of 9,000. All our posting master room numbers start with 9,000. Okay, so if we go back to the group options button, we also have a room status button. So if we were assigning these rooms and we needed to know the status of the rooms, we could click on room status, and it would show me the status of all the rooms that have been assigned. Notice they're all inspected, but the posting master room is on a clean status. So very handy on arrival day, so you can take a look and say, okay, what rooms are still on dirty and which ones are ready to go. It's a good little screen to look at. Another button here is the print registration cards. Print registration cards for all group guests prior to check-in to speed the check-in process. So it just allows you to print all the registration cards for everybody due in, all received, all in-house, and it's just a quicker way to print your registration cards if you use them. We also have a new posting master button. In cases of complex group billing, it may be necessary to create additional posting masters. So this would allow you to create a new posting master. And as I said earlier, we have a cut key. So if you have a key machine that is interfaced to Opera, it will go through and cut the keys one by one for you. And then you would have the key packs ready. So if you had a bus load of people coming in and they're all coming in at one time, You could have the registration cards printed. You could have the keys printed, and you could have them all checked in or pre-assigned, so you can do it right as they arrive. And the last one is the confirmation. So if you wanted to send a confirmation letter to everybody in the group, you could select the people in the group, choose confirmation, and then you could email them out one by one. Okay, so that is the group options button. Okay, there's one other thing that we have not done. Remember when we created the group block, we created a note that said, on the second one here, it said room and tax is going to the master. So we have to set up what is called routing. And this is something we went over in the reservation training. And we're also going to go over it in the arrivals class, so we can go over it one more time. But we want to set up on every reservation in this group to have room and tax to go to the posting master, because the group, each individual person in the group is not going to pay for the room and tax. The Oracle Travel is going to pay for the room and tax, or their company is going to pay for it. So what we want to do is we're going to go to the reservation button one more time, and we see all the reservations here. So we want to set up one reservation with the routing going to the master, so that then once we do that, remember how the comments we could choose for everybody in the group? So we can do the same thing to set up routing. So we're going to go into Paula Long's reservation here. We're going to highlight it. We can click on edit, or we can just go to the options button here. I'm going to just choose to go to options. Remember all the options that we used in the Reservations 2 training class. I'm going to go to routing. Notice at the top we have what's called room routing or window routing. Room routing will send the charges from your room to another room. So that's what we want to do, because we want to send it to the posting master. So we're going to do what's called room routing. So the next thing we have to do is find the room that we want to route the charges to. So we're going to click on the drop down, and remember our posting master is called Opera Training. And remember we have a bunch under Opera Training. So we have to find the one with the room type PM for posting master. So we'll highlight the PM for posting master. We're going to click on OK. And now we have to tell Opera what we want to send to the posting master. Remember on our notes we said room and tax. So those are called transactions. So we're going to click on the drop down. And we have groupings that have already been created ahead of time in configuration. So remember, room and tax is going to go to the master. So I'm going to put an X besides room and tax here. Notice down below, these are the selected ones. We have nothing down there. So we want to click add, and it will move the room and tax grouping to the selected area. Okay, so we've chosen room and tax to go to the posting master. We're going to click on OK. It's going to our posting master 9000. We've got room and tax going there. We'll click on OK. Here is our routing instructions. Okay. So we have room and tax going to the posting master 9000, and it's going there for both nights for all the guests that are staying with this group. I'm going to click on close. And once we close out of options, we will get this prompt to apply these changes to whichever guests you have chosen in the group. So I'm going to choose all guests in the group. I'm going to click on OK. And now it's going to go through every reservation, and it's going to set up routing so that room and tax will go to the master when they arrive. So let's double check ourselves. So we'll go to Thomas Efta up here at the top. I'm going to click on edit to go into his reservation. And notice down at the bottom we have a red lamp for routing. I can do a single click on the red lamp, and it shows that we have routing set up of room and tax going to room 9000. And always remember, on the day of arrival, we have to make sure to check in that posting master 9000, because if we don't check in that posting master on the day of arrival and we run the night audit, all that room and tax will have nowhere to go. So it will just stay on the guest bill because the posting master did not get checked in. So remember that when you're at the property, to make sure the posting masters are checked in before the night audit runs. Okay, so we got our routing set up. We have a room and tax going to the posting master. Okay, so this is all our reservations. Notice we have no names on some of these reservations, but when these guests arrive, we will get the names when we do our training for front desk and arrivals. Okay, so in this class, we learned what a business block header was this. We went through all the different fields on the business block header. We learned how, by going to reservations, going to group options, we learned how to create a rooming list. If we choose all down at the bottom, we'll see everybody in our rooming list. We also learned how to attach comments to a reservation and then attach them to everybody in the group. We also learned how to set up routing instructions so room and tax can go to the master. We also made an individual reservation by going to new reservation against this group block. And remember, when you click on the down arrow for block, it shows that group block that's coming into your hotel here, and you make an individual reservation against that group. Okay? And the last thing we did was we learned where to go so we could print a rooming list for this group block. So I'll show you two different places here. So we're going to the group block here. We went to reservation. We went to group option. And we also went to rooming list. We could choose all. We have a print button over here on the right. Choose what we want on our rooming list. And then we could print it or preview it. And another place that you can print out the rooming list is right at the front of the group block. So if we highlight it on the group block here, you also have a report button here. And in this report button, down at the bottom here, we have the rooming list report here. We can do it there also. Okay. So that concludes the training for the group block. That